My name is T.K. Floyd Foutz. Thank you so much for joining me to discuss implicit bias in the legal profession. Before we get started, I'd like to share just a little bit about myself. I am a licensed attorney. I practiced for about 16 years, and I also had an opportunity to teach law. But currently, I serve as a national speaker on implicit bias in the legal profession. And another one of my passions is mentoring pre-law, law, and post-law students. I have a passion for impacting the next generation of the legal profession, so I spend a lot of time doing that. I also coach for the bar exam. Today's presentation will cover a lot of issues regarding implicit bias, but I need to add a disclaimer. I'm not a neuroscientist, but I hope to introduce these topics in such a way that you're intrigued and you decide to pursue additional education on your own. For our presentation today, we will start with explaining the science of implicit bias by discussing how our unconscious mind works. Then we'll move to examining the impact of implicit bias by discussing how our implicit biases develop and manifest in our daily lives, both personally and professionally, and how these implicit biases influence our decisions and our actions. We'll also explore some examples and discuss how to recognize conditions that foster the expression of our implicit biases. And in the final section, we will discuss exploring the mitigation of implicit bias by discussing how to become aware of our implicit biases and using the implicit association test to gain that awareness. We'll also discuss strategies for mitigating implicit bias and some models for mitigating bias. And at the end, we will discuss an implicit bias mitigation card that might be a helpful way to address implicit bias. Again, today's session is an overview. It can't discuss every nuance, but again, I hope it raises some questions that intrigue you and encourage you to pursue further education on these topics. So let's get started with explaining the science of implicit bias. Here, we're focused on how our unconscious mind works. We'll start by defining implicit bias, then we'll consider some